Welcome to the Stacy A Cross Show. I am Stacy A Cross. There's no E in my name. Every Friday at 8 a.m., I'll be coming through. We're talking health, we're talking wealth, and we're talking happiness. I'm a believer of freedom, personal growth, and your journey to success. So go ahead and share, subscribe, listen to this show, because it's going to be an amazing one. As always, you can find me at www.thecomfortkillers.com. Thank you so much for being here. Let's go. Boom shakalaka, yeah, Stacy A Cross is back on another Friday, beautiful Friday. Holy smokes, is it gorgeous out there or what? I'm gonna already have a perfect day. I already said that. I woke up at 5, laid back down, woke back up and said, man, no, I gotta have a perfect day today. Already putting that out in the universe, and hope your day is going amazing. If you're listening to this, then you know it drops in every Friday at 8 a.m. Stacy A Cross live from Philadelphia. Today's gonna be an explosive show. I've been having explosive shows ever since I say, hey man, you want to talk to me? Let's have this conversation. I want to interview you. If you want to get interviewed, get your message out there. That's the most important thing. How can the Comfort Killers and or Stacy A Cross helps you get your message out there and gain more influence? Of course, what you have going on is important. It's needed. Okay, there is a void. People want it. So don't be afraid to get that message out there, and I want to help you. So come on the podcast. Let's talk. Let's have a conversation. Let me interview you. Let me learn more about you. Let my audience learn more about you. So what we've done here is open the doors, and I want to interview everyone I can this year. Starting in January of 2019, I'm going to ramp it up. I want to have so many podcast shows by that time, but at the end of the day, January is always this big thing. And what years after 2019? Of course, the Big Bang 2020. Man, that's going to be crazy. A lot of people are going to wake up. A lot of people are going to wake, because you know what it is? When we were kids, it was like everything was 2020. Like the cars were going to be flying in 2020. These huge things, you couldn't see it. All right, you like, whoa, 2020, like that was a year way out there that you didn't have to worry about. Well, guess what? It's literally 2 years away. So we want to make sure that we're working on things leading up to that huge year in time. It's going to be a great year, and it's a great time now. So let's talk about the power of now. Today we have an episode with Dave M Boddy. Dave M Boddy. We're going to put this in the health segment. Rest in peace to Kate Spade. Suicide attempt on her life, and she succeeded. This is happening ever so often, and I, sometimes you're like, wow, I'm not surprised. You're surprised of the person. You're like, what? Kate? A lot of people, I was reading some things, and they're saying, it was no surprise she was dealing with depression. And depression and unhappiness and really some thoughts inside of you that are controlling you, you are like a whole different person. It doesn't matter what you have. So as you could see, money, material things, right? These things do not buy happiness, okay? They are definitely very important when it comes to your survival and thrival. But if your mind ain't right? If your support ain't right, if those little things in life, they're not right, they're not aligned, you will be in a prison among great, luxurious things. So I want to say rest in peace. And the reason why I wanted to bring this episode in, because this one is focused more on the youth and suicide within the youth community as it relates to bullying, maybe depression, not being understood. And a friend of mine who is an expert in this area, Dave M Boddy, he's up in Canada, said, man, we gotta get on another interview, because what you're doing is very important in this area, right? This segment needs to be said. And the first time I spoke to him, we spoke about his programs and what he's doing and his, how he was able to survive. What do I mean by survive? Dave is a survivor of bullying. He had 12 years of bullying, depression, and 3 suicide attempts, which he failed. And good thing that he failed, because he woke up. It was 1999, and you're going to hear in his story in just a few minutes how he woke up. But Dave has permanent brain damage caused by multiple concussions, but is definitely a superhero. One that doesn't allow circumstances and or conditions to make him. Dave is now a youth coach and is the founder of BU Heroes, which stands for Boddyguards United Heroes, which I am a proud ambassador of. And Boddyguards United Heroes, BU Heroes, is a community against bullying and a safe place for information, support, and love. Again, we kept it really within the youth because, and I love that. And I spoke to him about that, how, everyone is an adult motivator, right? Adult to adult, business to business, man to man, woman to woman, and we have all these tools and support and everything, in the space of entrepreneurship for adults. And then, there's 2 people that I know of that are close to me that really said, you know what, I'm focused on children. I'm focused on developing them up. I'm focusing on allowing them to see their importance and their blessings and their love, really, and what they're capable of and their abilities and their strength and their power. So this is, first of all, I love it. I love when we could say, because that's the foundation. I'm reading the Benjamin Franklin autobiography. I listened to the audiobook, and Benji's my friend. Okay, I know Benji. I be walking on his blocks, all right? And Benjamin Franklin, the reason why I love him so much, because he was like personal development crazy. He was just crazy about self-examination, self-assessment, and he was very young and among men, matured men. And he would outsmart, outwit, outclever, and he knew it. He knew he was good like that. He received a few letters, and, while reading the book, I noticed he received a few letters, and somebody from England had sent him a letter and said, more men need to be like you. But you need to focus on teaching what you know to the youth. Because obviously, we know that the youth, instead of looking at them and saying, oh man, you're no good at this, you're no good at that, all you have is your phone, you want to just play video games, all you do is this. That thing, it just shuts you down. And I was saying to myself, what was most important to me as a 8-year-old, a 9-year-old, 11-year-old? Was it supported? Was it what was important to me was important for my parents to have me engage in? Okay, it was good stuff. I loved music. I loved to write. I loved the computer, internet, but they never said, hey, you know what? I see that you're always on this damn computer. Why don't you take this class over here at this college? There's a computer 101. 14 years old, doesn't matter. Take this summer class, take this summer course, go with these programmers over here. I don't know what you're doing in that room all day, all night, but you're obviously in love with that thing. Let's go build that skill, okay? That you go learn more. And that's how it starts, when you're supported. You know what they turn around and told Stacy, go dust the figurines. Dust and clean up this damn place. It's like, damn, man. So Dave is bringing the youth side of health in our segment today. And I just wanted to leave some stats with us before we go in there. And we're going to go in with Dave going right in. Suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the U.S. Each year, 44,965 Americans die by suicide. For every suicide, 25 attempts. For every suicide, so 25, 1 in 25 are successful. Suicide costs the U.S. $69 billion annually. And just to give you a stat of the ages, we have here, and since we're talking about the youth, let's just stick into that. Of course, men and has the highest suicide rate, and between 45 and 54 years of age, those are the highest. But as far as the children and the youth of what we're talking about, adolescents and young adults aged 15 to 24 had a suicide rate of 15. Okay, so that's it right there. And Dave, I want to thank you for coming on in. Come on in and tell us who you are today and bring us up to speed on a Stacy A. Cross show.
My name is Dave M Boddy. I'm a youth coach, motivational speaker. I'm the creator of the Boddyguards United Heroes Community, also the creator of the Youth Save Not Lost podcast. And I just launched my branding for Coach Dave M Boddy, which is, my slogan is train harder than you dream. Basically, my goal is to recognize youth around the world who are achieving greatness through their hard work and perseverance. Also, helping youth train harder than they dream and find their skills, their goals, their talents, and just basically helping them realize that age is just a number. It's all about experience. I started this journey in 2012 when I was discharged from brain injury rehab for several months. I was diagnosed with permanent brain damage as a result of 15 concussions. I dealt with bullying for 12 years, both physical and verbal. Lost 8 close friends to numerous deaths, such as Flushing disease, suicide, overdose, so much more. I also battled depression for 16 years. I battled suicide 3 times. So what happened in 2012, when I was discharged from rehab, I had a huge passion for youth. And I developed that passion when I was in the security industry for over several years, where I dealt with a lot of at-risk youth that were involved in gangs, drugs, alcohol abuse, prostitution, and so much more. And when I helped one youth specifically, I realized the power I had to actually influence these youth and to be there for them, to coach them. So I wanted to focus on that after I realized that I could no longer do my policing dream or my security career. So I had to figure out a platform that would help me support the youth. And then I realized in 2012, upon research, that cyberbullying was increasing. So I wanted to build the Boddyguards United Heroes Community as a social media community for youth, to have a safe place to go on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, where they can hear inspiring stories from fellow youth. Like, I have BU Heroes. I have 69 kids part of the program right now. And of that 69, numerous of them are survivors of suicide and intense verbal and physical bullying, self-harming, and now they've overcome, because I've helped coach them. And then once I'm done coaching, I induct them as BU Heroes, and then they become a source of influence and inspiration to fellow youth. So I basically turned my whole negative story around by helping others heal with me. I found that when you are going through a struggle, one of the best ways to heal is to help others around you. And that's my mission.
Wow. I mean, powerful, impactful, and truly needed, especially today more than ever. But I am very interested to know, because multiple times you said 2012, and you've been through your own. I mean, I'm so happy that I'm able to, you're here, you're alive, you're well, and I'm able to communicate with you and be here with you, because each one of these moments you could have not been here. Like, that's so real. It's like, you battled suicide 3 times, you had concussions led to brain damage, you were bullied so much, and your childhood really had this living in the kind of dirt and struggle that you're talking about. And in order for you to heal, you had to come up out of that and heal and help others. Now, but you mentioned 2012 a lot of times. Now, that was the moment for what?
That was the moment where I woke up.
You woke up.
Where I realized, holy cow, I have a son. I have a
yes.
future. I have a reason to live. I got to find that purpose. And
yes.
more often than not, you don't find your purpose until you're rock bottom. So that was
yes.
when I actually hit rock bottom, and I realized I got to go up from here. And then I made a promise to myself and to my children that the reason why I overcame all I did was I can't selfishly say it was just me. Success is never just individualistic. There's always people involved with every success story. Every success story has people, that dedicated to chapters, and my chapters were my family and my best friends. Like, the first person I told I was suicidal in 2006. I was suicidal in 1999, 2006, and 2011. And in 2006, the first person I told was my best friend, Charmaine. So it wasn't for my support system. And then when I was in rehab in 2011, my psychologist at the time even said that she was surprised that I was still alive, because when I was going through my rehab, I was going through a divorce. I was going through losing my career. I was going through suffering my 15th concussion. So I was going through a lot of depression and a lot of darkest days. And I realized that when I was hearing other kids share their stories with me, it was inspiring me. So I realized, holy cow, inspiration can be from literally anyone. And nowadays we have a lot of discussion about how millennials are lazy and they're this and they're that. And I realized, no, like, millennials saved my life, to be quite honest with you. Becoming a father saved my life.
Yeah.
And hearing these kids' stories saved my life. So I'm like, I have to build a community because there's so much inspiration here. And that all began in 2012. That's when I woke up and realized this is my purpose.
A lot of people, and I've spoken to a few because of what I do, always say, well, I can't find my purpose. I don't know what it is. I'm looking under rocks. And you tell them to go within. But I love how you connected, your purpose always comes from the place of rock bottom, and that you were. You're now, you looked at yourself in the mirror, essentially, and just say, you know what, I'm sick and tired, and there's more to live for. And directing your energy and directing your focus and your inspiration in building up the youth. Now, there's a lot of people that I've come across online, offline, that motivates adults, that motivates this, that motivates their whole target is in the mature crowd, millennial crowd. But when you say youth, and you know that it could impact, just one youth could impact a lot within their family unit and what they could do and live on. I gotta hand it to you for really starting where it matters with children.
Oh yeah, I used to do a lot of coaching with adults. However, I always found that youths were more inquisitive. They're more focused on passion. They're more focused on creativity. And I've started realizing that every youth I inspired, I would inspire an adult with that youth. Like their father, their mother. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to focus on the youth, because right now there is so much focus, like you said, on adult motivation, adult inspiration, business planning, business building. There's so much overconsumption of information for businesses and adults. I'm like, there's not enough for kids. Like there was actually a stat that I read that actually made me realize I had to push harder. Was the reason why there's not many podcasts dedicated to children is because it's hard to keep children's interest. And I'm like, no, it's really not. I'm like, no matter what content you share, if it's good content and it's entertaining, they will listen. So I combined edutainment, which is education and entertainment, where I created the Youth Save Not Lost podcast, where I have 4 co-hosts that are youth coming on to share their stories, and we're in talks with Disney stars. We're in talks with all these kids, because I realized that a lot of people are avoiding youth inspiration because of that one statistic of, there's not enough of this and that for youth, because youth are not easily entertained. And I'm like, that's so bogus. I'm like, youth love this kind of stuff. They're naturally
entertained, right? They're naturally drawn to something. Yeah, it's amazing how you could hold their attention.
And I've always been a person of, whenever people say follow the trend, I'm like, no, I don't follow the trend. I investigate the trend, I research the trend, and then I find a creative way to create my own element with it. Like, for example, fidget spinners. Stacy, where are they? They were the biggest hit for 5 months, and now they're gone. And kids love them. And when you think of a new business endeavor, you think of a new creation, what is the demographic that is most often looked to find out if it's successful or not? Youth.
Yeah.
Walmart is now going to Snapchat. So many of these big businesses are going to Snapchat because that's where all the youth are going. People go where the youth are because youth are the ones that create the, like, big fever of you got to have this, you got to do this. They're so influential. And right now, Fortnite is so big on PS4 and Xbox because the youth are into it. So to tell me that youth don't like podcasts is totally incorrect, and I'm actually happy that someone said that because now people are believing it, so it leaves more of an avenue for me to come in and be like, no, I'm going to be here for the youth while you guys are focusing on the popular trends.
I love it.
Here impacting the people who actually need it.
I love it. I think that that's a great demographic, and it's connected to you already, and, you've lived through the bullying for a long period, and I pulled up a statistic while you were speaking here because, I'm interested to know, and it's a serious thing here. It says suicide is the third leading cause of death among young people, about 4,400 deaths per year, according to the CDC. For every suicide among young people, there are at least 100 suicide attempts. So we're not even talking about the 100, that's multiplied by 100 for every one. So it's a serious thing. So when you're looking into this pocket and it's like, I'm going to influence these youth, I'm going to help this demographic, I'm going to show them that they have inner strength, inner power, and you did that through the Bodyguards. And now I love this, what you're working on here, and that this train harder than you dream. First of all, I love the slogan. But tell me more about, before we get into train harder than you dream, let's bring back to this bullying concept, because I think we need to kind of deep dive this and pocket it and unpack it a little bit, because it is a serious situation. And if you have children that, you're listening to this podcast, you have children, and sometimes as adults or young parents, or even older parents, you just don't understand. Moms don't understand. Kids don't understand, whatever. We want to be able to give you something right now to help identify or even acknowledge or observe and assess, your children. And sometimes, there was one point where, you catch me, I hate my parents, they don't understand. And it's because they weren't really caring about what I cared about. I cared about this thing, they wanted me to do this other thing. So it was this contrast and conflict all the time. But since you're the expert here, I would love to maybe have you share some of the things that adults or maybe even help kids right now in observing where someone may be getting bullied, or someone that may be a loner, what they call it, or someone that's just not really into it, they're not enjoying life. How could parents identify that within their kids and have that conversation?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. So the first thing I always advise parents, because like I said, when I'm coaching youth, I often coach the parents at the exact same time because it's like a combination effect of all three. So the first thing I establish with the family is I make sure that they actually have an open forum, where the child is in an environment where he or she feels confident that he or she can speak to him or her parent in a manner without judgment. Because I tell the parents, as long as that child has that fear of belittlement or judgment, they're not going to speak to you. They're going to go to the one source that they can actually guarantee that they will be heard. People associate pain and pleasure to every decision they make. So if your youth is associating pain to talking to you, they're going to avoid you. They're going to go somewhere that they associate pleasure to. So that may be their school counselor, the coach, a fellow friend, or even their best friend's parents. The first thing you have to do to make sure you can actually have this conversation is have an environment where the child is feeling confident that they will be heard. Without that, there's no other foundation or piece of advice that I can even give you. That's the first and foremost, because what's happening is most youth feel they don't have anywhere to go. And the number one reason to suicide is neglect and feeling that you don't matter. So that's what you have to work on first, is making sure that this child has somewhere to go. For example, I created the Boddyguards United Heroes for that exact reason. They can come talk to me. They can come talk to any of my ambassadors or any of the BU heroes. They can come talk to someone. I have connections with the Kids Help Phone, which is here in Canada, which is a 1-800 anti-suicide hotline for youth. I have connections with the Bikers Against Child Abuse. I have so much connections that allow these kids somewhere to go. But ideally, they want to go to their parents. So you have to have that home front open forum. Secondly, you got to get rid of that stigma of suicide is just a phase, or depression's not real, or mental health is not an issue, because the stats will tell you otherwise. Every 40 seconds around the world, someone is killing themselves due to depression. Every 40 seconds. So if this podcast lasts for 30 minutes, you do the math, every 40 seconds someone has ended their life. So over 781,000 people a year commit suicide. And you want to tell people that suicide is not a real thing. It's terrible. There's so much stigma towards it, but there's so much statistical data that proves them all wrong. So that's the second thing I work on with parents, is getting them to understand that if your youth is going through a struggle mentally, it is serious, because what's going to happen is the biggest regret you'll have is that child will end their life, and you'll have the regret your whole life thinking it was your fault. The best thing for that is, like I said, create that forum, create that environment where they feel that they can talk to you about and I mean anything. Because there's times when parents are uncomfortable. There's times when parents are like, I don't know how to deal with this, and that's fine. That's normal. But that's where I come in, where I'm like that mediator that comes in and just says, okay, this is what your child's going through. And then you got to figure out what their mental state's at, like what their belief system is, because there's opinions, then there's belief, and then there's conviction. Like there's 3 levels. And you always people say that my opinion is this, and it's like, well, opinions can be swayed, they can be changed, they can be altered, they can be manipulated. Belief systems are built by your references. So let's say, Stacy, you say, I'm confident. Well, what your reference for that is, someone tells you you're so good at this. That's a reference. That's what builds your belief to be even stronger. Mm-hmm. What a conviction is, it's unbreakable belief. So if your child says, I am convinced I am being bullied, I am depressed, that means that your child is going through some serious things. Like if they say, my opinion is I'm suicidal, that can be changed. That can be worked on. It could be just a simple opinion. Then a belief is built by references that make them believe it's stronger. Conviction is where it's really serious. Like a good example of people who are convinced are protesters. Convictions are people who have such a strong belief system that they put action behind what they believe. For example, you believe in empowerment and motivation, so you created a podcast, you created an environment, you're convicted, you're convinced that inspiration and empowerment is huge. So you got to figure out where your child is, if they're in an opinion mindset, belief mindset, or if they're convicted. Once they're convinced, it's very serious, and that's where I bring in a lot of experts and a lot of help that can even add more value. But if you don't have that foundation of trust with your youth, they're not going to come talk to you. Now, I don't know if you saw 13 Reasons Why, Seasons 1 or Season 2. Have you?
No, I have not.
Okay. That series is extremely powerful, because in Season 2, there's actually an episode where the father of one of the children who are involved says, he asks the question, why don't kids come talk to their parents? Are they scared? Are they ashamed? Are they embarrassed? Why won't they talk to us? And the whole series is basically surrounded by one student named Hannah Baker committing suicide. And basically the entire story is they connect all these characters to her, explaining how they influenced her to come to the mindset of conviction of suicide. So it's a very important series to watch, and I always advise parents to watch it with an open mind, because it details what kids are going through today.
This is powerful. I'm so happy, first of all, to have you on the podcast, but also open this door, because, I know we've done something in the past. It was a video interview, and we really kind of knocked at the door, but today I believe that door is open. So I am going to invite anyone that has any further questions about this, or maybe you're understanding exactly what Dave is saying, but you want to clarify some things, and maybe even just get involved in any way. And there is a community on Facebook, okay? And it's that safe haven, safe community. Ask what you need to ask, because it truly will help the situation out. It truly will help a youth experience to even know that you understand what they're going through. I think that's how we build the trust. Hey, listen, I understand it, and being amongst other people that do as well. So that community is Boddyguards United Heroes on Facebook. Now, and do you want to leave any other information based off of just the understanding more about depression, understanding more about mental health, or if anyone has questions, do you have an email that you want to leave now for that?
Yeah, most definitely. I'm available on all platforms of social media. I usually like to share hashtags because it's so much easier than links. So
Okay.
you can find me at hashtag CoachDM, BODDY. That's hashtag CoachDMBody. You can find me at hashtag RiseUpBUHeroes. As well, you can find me as hashtag YSNL podcast for You Save Not Lost. We drop a new episode every Saturday. This coming episode, by the looks of it, I do a voting system for You Save Not Lost for the community to decide the next topic. It looks like this Saturday, episode 3, is going to be about overcoming your fears. Last Saturday was about how confidence is created, how you don't just become confident, you have to create confidence.
Yeah.
So it's very... And my podcast style is pretty different because what I do is I focus on the topic of education, but I also influence it with my personal story.
Nice.
So I share topics, I share history about how I created confidence and how I was able to overcome fear. So it's a very in-depth conversation for a half hour, but so much content and so much value because, like I said, every 40 seconds someone's ending their life. So it's a serious epidemic that's happening right now, but everyone's so focused on so much other things, and there's so much going on that parents sometimes get lost. They forget that their children are going through so much. Like, for example, a friend of mine, his sister tried committing suicide a month ago with Benadryl because she failed her school exam. That's how much pressure these youths are experiencing in the school system. So it's very, very serious. A friend of mine went to a funeral 2 Fridays ago of a 9-year-old son of his best friend who committed suicide accidentally. He overdosed accidentally doing a challenge, a pill challenge, where in the school the youths are doing pill challenges where they take as many pills as they can to survive. And unfortunately, he passed away at 9 years old, Stacy. 9. So this is a serious, serious situation.
I just about 4 months ago, I still had my 9 to 5, and there was a young man that used to come talk to me, and every day he would look for, Stacy here, Stacy, I love talking to you, Stacy. And then one time I wasn't there for a few days, and I've heard that he'd been asking for me, and went there and I said, hey, what's wrong? He said, my friend committed suicide, over a failed relationship, or it was something with a girl, but his friend was young, I believe 19, and the age doesn't even really matter, but and he was so hurt, and we come to think of the person that will or may commit suicide, but the people they leave behind and the people that feel guilty for it. Because now I'm working with this young man, and he feels guilty. I mean, 100%, like he was the reason. And even though his friend didn't leave any notes behind, he just remembers that one time when his friend called him trying to explain something, and he was just like, hey, guy, you got to just, you got to get over it. You got to do this. And he feels like that call did it. And even though we have no idea, and I could legit say, no, you're not the reason, but that's what the effects of suicide will do if the people that are left behind, oh, what could I do? What could I have done? It was my fault. And all these domino effect of guilt, depression, and even more problems later on. So I know exactly how serious and important this topic is, and I just salute you for creating the environment and also creating this podcast dedicated to helping youth, even if they stumble upon it, and they may not be going through bullying, but maybe they could help somebody when they're hearing this type of information. They will be the person, the hero, that stands in front and say, hey, you know what, that's not cool, or hey, and talk to that person and say, you know what, that's not, it doesn't mean anything, that doesn't matter, and help that person. So what you're doing it doesn't just influence the youth, it influences the people around them. It influences the parents. It influences that one bystander that could do something. It really is something for everyone. So, again, salute and thank you so much for, not going with the crowd and dedicating your purpose to youth and helping them.
Oh, 100%. I definitely have to. Now, just listen to your story about that friend of yours. What he's experiencing is what's called the justice theory, where when something happens and we don't have a suspect, we don't know a reason to what happens, we feel uncomfortable, we feel stressed. So what we do mentally is we figure out a way to blame someone to make us feel like justice has been served. For example, the biggest example I have is rape cases and stuff like that, where there's no suspect, so they blame the victim. Well, the victim shouldn't have been wearing this. The victim shouldn't have been wearing that. The victim did this. It's called justice theory, where they want to find comfort with blaming someone so that way they feel justice is served. So your friend's going through a situation that I went through when my best friend killed himself in 2004 because of bullying, where I blame myself because there were so many suspects, so many people that were involved with his bullying that I didn't know who to blame primarily. So I started blaming myself because that way it made me feel a little bit more like, okay, I know why he did it, but at the same time it brings you down further. So for your friend to overcome this, he has to understand that, as dark as it may be seem, that he didn't make the decision, that even his friend didn't make the decision, because depression is such a silent killer that people commit suicide. People say, it's because he was weak or she was weak, or it's like they don't understand the true power of depression. Even if you're a millionaire, like we've lost so many celebrities to suicide. Robin Williams, Chester Bennington from Linkin Park, Soundgarden's lead front singer. Like, money doesn't do anything for you if you're depressed. It's all about fulfillment.
No.
So the first thing I tell children when they're going through depression is I help them establish a focused mindset on goals. Because if you're not fulfilled, then you're not going to have any focus. And I tell people all the time, success is not your end result that you want. It's fulfillment. You can be $1 million richer tomorrow, but you can still feel depressed today if you're not feeling fulfilled. And you got to establish those goals, and unrealistic goals. Like, make them huge. Like, you want to be a singer and you want to sell at the Madison Square Garden. Like, the bigger the goal, the more hard work you're going to put into it. So it's like you got to help these people find goals. That it's like a distraction. It's like a purpose-filled distraction where that's another reason why I do what I do, is because these youths are so unfocused. They're so easily swayed and influenced from social media challenges that we're losing kids to pill challenges, destroying the condom challenges, the Tide Pod challenges, because they're all bored. So I help them find their skills, then I help them find their talents, and then I help them establish goals that will help them say, you know what, I am too busy to focus on this drama and this toxicity and these challenges that are taking our youth from us. So as a youth coach, that's my goal, is to help them. Basically, I tie their shoe, and then they walk. But I'm just there to help them so they don't trip. Because it takes time. Like, I can't just go to a youth and say a fancy quote, and all of a sudden he or she changes. No, I understand their why, and that helps me implement the how to save their life. And that's how serious it is for me.
It's definitely needed, and I salute you so much, because even my eyes are opening to the seriousness of it. Sometimes we just go on in our lives and everything looks crispy and nice and glamorous online, and that is a problem too. And we're living up to this so-called Lamborghini lifestyle and jet setter lifestyle when people are really hurting, and even the people that are posting are really hurting. It's only to cover up what's really going on, and starting from the foundation of youth, where minds are easily conformed or, crystallized on certain accepting of beliefs or accepting of self-hate and accepting of these things, and also at a time when, like a sponge, it could easily be changed and shaped and molded, but who's out there molding something positive, something that's self-empowering? So I'm so happy that you're doing it. The Comfort Killers always stands behind Dave M Boddy and United. In fact, I'm an ambassador, so I gotta be there and being open. So I love bringing this information out to the public. It's definitely needed, and we do need to interrupt the scheduled programs, to interrupt them with harsh realities of what's going on, but also that there are solutions, that there are people out here like Dave that are doing this on a daily basis as his purpose and making sure that youth's lives are saved, not one lost. And, we're going to end it here, but I do have to ask one question. I ask my guest this question, and I think it's a great question, but I always like to hear what you have to say, your answer. I'm always interested in hearing this answer. So let's say this is 1999, okay, and you have the opportunity, Dave, to go back to yourself in 1999 in the state that you were in 1999. I just want to listen in on the conversation that you're having with yourself. It could be one word, it could be a phrase, or it could be a real conversation that you're having with yourself. So what are you saying if you're able to go back in time and tell your old self some things? What are you saying?
Wow, you had to pick 1999. That was the year where I was suicidal in grade 9.
Yes, so I know.
That's a long-winded conversation, but I'll make it simple. Train harder than you dream. That was a time where I was looking for so much gold. I was looking for anyone to really care. But I was in a mindset where bullying was a phase. It was something that people do to tease you. So I would go back to 1999 and tell myself, train harder than you dream. Focus on what I want to do, which was professional wrestling. Focus on my dream. Build that confidence. Create confidence through execution. More often than not, I was refusing to grow because I was ashamed. I was embarrassed. It was not a matter of I couldn't. It was a matter that my doubt disallowed me. So I would go back in 1999 and say, listen, let's create the confidence and let's do it. Let's train harder than I dream and let's make my dreams a reality. That's the main conversation I would have, because that was the main reason why I was actually in depression, was I had no focus.
Yeah.
And all I did was hit a downward spiral. So as a pattern change, I would definitely say wake up, focus on your dreams, and train harder than you dream.
So let me ask you a question. Now you have your old self looking back at you, right? And your old self is in disbelief, like, what? You know what I mean? What would you say to yourself then to let your old young self believe that this is now you and what, like, hey, believe this, buddy. I need you to snap out of it. What do you say to your old self? Because, we're stubborn too, especially in 1999. I was in high school. I was graduating high school. If I saw myself coming back, I'd be like, get the hell out of here. Okay, no, I'm still gonna do all these other things. But I would have to, there's a trigger. There's some words that for yourself. What would you say to make your old self really follow through and believe?
There's one saying that I give to every parent and every youth that wakes them up. Every day you wake up is a day closer to when you won't. You have to have value. You have to see the worth in your life. You have to see the opportunity. And you have to stop being so greedy. Now, when I say that, I mean this. You have been given an opportunity to wake up this morning. Even though you may not be a morning person, you were given an opportunity to wake up, while thousands of others a minute ago were not given that same opportunity. The best way to show you're grateful for that is through gratitude. The best way to show you're grateful for your life is to make sure you add value to it. People have this thing where they want this life, but they want value to be given to them. You have to earn it. You have to go out there and just basically create value every single day in your life. Every day you wake up is a day closer to when you won't. Once you understand the power of that, like, for example, in the last 2 weeks, Stacy, just the last 2 weeks, I've read 48 posts on social media from close friends saying bye to their loved ones. 48 in 2 weeks.
Wow.
People are losing loved ones like crazy right now. It's sad. It's depressing. And I think people need to appreciate the fact that they are alive. And once they understand so much of that power that they have of waking up every morning, you wake up a winner because you woke up. And the prize you get for that is another opportunity to add value to not only your life but someone else's. So just remember that. Every morning you wake up is a day closer to when you won't.
I love that. I love that, bringing that reality down to the most valuable thing which you have is your time and your energy, and you're here right now and you're alive. So live this purpose, live it now, do what you need to do now. And that power of now is definitely, we focus on, the future, the goal, the end of the game, but this now really creates that. So, bringing it back into that human mortality, and that wakens and shaking you up like, wow, you're so blessed to be here. You don't even understand. Like, you are totally blessed. Out of billions of people, like, you're blessed to wake up another day. You need to live now. You need to do it now. You need to change now. You need to, So that's great. And I want to thank you so much again for being a part of the Comfort Killers and really seeing the personal development in you and your space and your business and keeping the purpose. You've really kept a solid foundation on what you want. That's what makes me know that it's true. It's real purpose. It's not make a mission statement and then carry it out online and personal brand yourself. No, it's not fluff. It's your real deal. It's your purpose, and you've been grinding at it since I known you. And I want to thank you for staying consistent and really being there as a mentor, a coach, and a speaker for the youth and doing your thing on a daily basis. I appreciate that.
No, not a problem at all.
If you're ready to get your word and your message out about your product, service, yourself, what you're doing, and you want to garner support, well, we want you to sponsor a episode here on the Stacy A. Cross Show. We're an internationally syndicated show and can be found on all the major podcast outlets such as iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Podbean, Spotify, and much more. Get the attention that you rightfully deserve, and by me. Who else but to promote and get your message out there better than Stacy A. Cross? And there's no E in my name. Email us hello@thecomfortkillers.com and get started right now. Let's get wealthy right now. And we're talking about your sphere of influence in wealth and in part of getting support, getting money, getting funding, getting whatever you want. Let's start with that sphere of influence, because that may be the first 100 to 200 people that you have in your cell phone that knows you. Now, the issue with that is, I don't know why most times we don't start out with the people that we already know, that we have already built a reputation with, some of which we don't like the reputation, right? Okay. This is a great way to mend it. But use your sphere of influence. So what we want to do, let's say you have, let's say you're just starting out a business, right? And you want to sell your book, sell your t-shirt, sell your product, sell membership, sell something that you want to sell something. Or maybe you have a service, okay? Maybe you started a little digital marketing agency. Maybe you started a little plumbing service on the side, landscaping, whatever it is. I'm talking about you have a group of people right now that you could go out to and, first of all, test the market to. Second of all, after you test the market, you could go back out there and work on your sales script, but also building relationship, which comes before that. So testing the market for that product or service, and then going right ahead and starting that off. You see, a lot of people in your phone don't know what you do, right? You think just because you put up a post, you put up on Facebook, that everyone in your phone, your uncle, aunt, cousins, mama, friend, baby mother, baby father from back in the day. How is that the baby father from back in the day? It's the baby father now. Okay? So I'm telling you that you have a resource in your phone. So we can look at our phone Scroll down everyone. Okay, of course you're going to do a little cherry picking because you're like, okay, I don't talk to, why is this cat in my phone still? Didn't know it. Or you're coming across people that is still in your phone that you haven't even spoken to for years. And you could it's a good time to either delete, to start, tearing away, shedding some of that, but also to write down at least 100 people that you could go out there and go fail with. Now, these are people you could go fail with. They know you. And when I say go fail, I don't mean, go fail, not get one sale, go fail, not get one support, acknowledgement, nothing. I'm not talking about that. What I'm saying is you need practice. You need practice in how to ask for money, how to ask for something. You know who has no shame on how to ask for donations? Nonprofit organization. No shame. They just throw, I'm a nonprofit organization and I need your $13,000. Okay? So you have to be comfortable with asking for money. You have to be comfortable with yourself. Not only that, you have to build this mindset where it's okay. Especially now you're going to interchange. Discounting is the ruler of all evils. I'm telling you that right now. But okay, so you got down your 100 people. Write a script so that every time you get on the phone with them, you're saying the same thing. Okay? If you have that same product or service, you're saying the same thing. Ring. Hey, John, do you have 2 minutes? You hold, you wait till John says yes. If John says no, you call John back. You don't get into it and rush in 30 seconds. Hey, I'll text you it, John. No. If John says yes, you go into your script. John says no, you say, when is a better time? Or let's link back, let's circle back, let's touch back, let's eat back. Okay? Baby back. And then you make a script. You create a script that's short. You know these people. John knows you. Okay? Hey, Stace, what's up? Yeah, I just wanted to tell you about this new thing that I'm doing, that I support, that I've been doing. That's why I've been busy. Okay? But you're making the script to be poignant and to the point. You're making a script to be to the point of what you want to get out. Whether you want support, what do you want to get out? Okay? So, John, tell me something. Would this be something that you're interested in? And if not, okay, you're waiting for that answer, right? If not, you're taking John's new address, new email, right on the phone. This is your sphere of influence, and you will reach back out to John later. But other than that, you're letting John spread the word for you. If anyone that you know, John, that may need this service or product, you let them know about Stacy A. Cross. You let them know. Here's my website. You could tell them that, but you just let me know. Okay? Could you do that favor for me, John? John says yes. But hey, listen, tell me about yourself. Hey, John, I got about 3 other people to call right now. Could I give you a call back? Because you want to stay on cue. Because John now wants to talk about Bill, Sarah, and Tiffany. And now you don't got time. You're there for a purpose. This is how you build your sphere of influence. And then John realizes that you mean business. You're gone. You're off the phone. You call him back, for 5 minutes of booty talk or whatever later on in another day. And then you go on to your next people. But write down 100 people. See, people are like, oh, so how do I start? How do I start? You don't need a website to start, I'm telling you. Okay? You want to get out of your bed today and you want to go to your sphere of influence. See, I got a bunch of Jamaicans in my phone. Okay? This is how the conversation's going to go. Mama, what you want? I never talked to you in a long time. Oh, Mama, I have, hey, I can't be like, Mama, you got to be able to have that script followed. And when you follow it to a T, you will take out all of the waste. And when I say waste, it's the conversation. Conversation that may be waste. A conversation that they knew you would have in the past. You don't let them control it because you're coming in there with straight meat, with a precision. Okay? And I guarantee you, law of averages takes effect. Statistic takes effect. The fact that you took action takes effect. So it's the law of right action takes effect. Try that out and see how much you could sell over the phone. And then of course you're not going to call 100 people in the day. So spread them out for the week, but be consistent. Monday you're calling this, Tuesday you're calling this, Wednesday you're calling this many. Thursday, Friday, maybe you recall all the people that told you that they didn't have time. Hey, how about Friday then? Friday at 2 p.m., John, does that work better? Yeah, that works better. Okay, I'll call you back. I'll return that call. So it's all in the skill of building and getting confident on the phone. That's number one. But number two, it's looking into your sphere of influence, people that already know you, close to you, friends, family, co-workers, acquaintances. Those are the people that you go to first. And then I'll tell you what, you would already had built some skill behind this, and then you could go for those others. All right, that's Stacy A. Cross's Wealth segment. We'll see you right back with the happiness segment, and we're going to take this show out. Peace. If you're ready to get your word and your message out about your product, service, yourself, what you're doing, and you want to garner support, well, we want you to sponsor a episode here on the Stacy A. Cross Show. We're an internationally syndicated show and can be found on all the major podcast outlets such as iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Podbean, Spotify, and much more. Get the attention that you rightfully deserve, and by me. Who else but to promote and get your message out there better than Stacy A. Cross? And there's no E in my name. Email us hello@thecomfortkillers.com and get started right now. Hey, what is going on? I want to give you today 13 virtues given to me by my friend, my buddy, Benjamin Franklin. As you know, in the summer, I love reading classics. I love going back perennially to some things that I just needed to clear up on. And every time you reread or you get back into something, you find out that because you have grown, you're able to receive even more information at a different frequency, if that makes sense to you. Because I went back to Benjamin Franklin, the autobiography of Benjamin Franklin, and I'm starting to see so many nuggets. Now, mind you, in my own book, How to Change Your Life Using Tools You Already Have, I noted that the schedule of Benjamin Franklin was something that I really appreciated. I loved how one would create their day for pure productivity, but also pure reflection, relaxation, being able to engage, being able to, I missed that part. I missed that part of engagement and relaxation in my last book. And hopefully you gotten that book. My book will be inside the show notes, information all there inside the show notes. But this is what I love about my friend Benjamin Franklin, is that he wanted so much to personally develop himself. And me moving to Philadelphia, being amongst this environment of, the new frontier of the revolution and just let's do this, and this spirit of America lives right here within the streets. And yes, the consciousness is very much alive in the streets. So I noticed that inside the book now, and I haven't noticed before, was that this 52-week-long doing over, getting better at one thing per week, like these 13 virtues. the one thing that Benjamin Franklin really wanted to do was get at the peak of morality for himself, the peak of ethics, the peak of doing things right, the righteous way. And, you know, he grew up Protestant, but he did not want to have to go to church to get that. And he said, man, the church was offering good information, but there was so much criticism along the lines with it. Like, this other person down here, we can't, fool with them because they are Catholic, okay? But the foundation and the guides within the church, they're good. And saying that in 1729, it still holds true today. I love all religions. I love when one could worship in their own way and the way they want to, safely and freely. I love that. I think it's the most beautiful thing to have this guide of life that's showing you and teaching you and building that confidence, building that love, that community, and the joy. I love that. But when it starts becoming a hate thing, a criticized thing, or people do not follow the steps, or they go there on Sunday and then they are the most holiest, and then on Monday they forget everything. So I love that about Benji and Mr. Benjamin Franklin. He went through 13 virtues that he put together, and these 13 virtues I want to give you today, and you pick one. And of course, this was written in the 200 centuries before, 1720s. And of course, this recollected the life of Benjamin Franklin. But this stuff is still very much valid today. So let's talk about this, the 13 of them, and then we are going out for today on today's show, Stacy A Cross Show. Before I get into the 13, though, I want you to know that you could catch me on all the socials at Stacy A Cross across all boards, right? Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, the best of them, the rest of them. So you can get me there. If you're interested in, of course, doing a show with me here, hello@thecomfortkillers.com is the email. If you're interested in sponsorship, hello@thecomfortkillers.com is the email. And make sure that you go to the Comfort Killers page on Facebook, like that. We're going to revamp that very soon. And just make sure you stay in tune to what's happening within the company. The gold membership right now on the back end of the website should be closed. There might be a link or two on the main site that you could still get inside the gold membership. The gold membership will be going at a premium starting in July. So I want to make sure that everyone's up to date on what's happening within the company, within the brand. And also, I want to give you these 13 virtues, things to live by, things to focus on. Self-examination really is personal development. And then self-discovery really is success. So when you put those two things together, what you have is this lifelong journey, and a beautiful one at that, to live life in your best way and to seek greatness all the time and to give love and to give joy and compassion to others. It really is such a beautiful journey that I don't know what you're waiting on to jump on it. All right, this is straight from Benjamin Franklin, autobiography of Benjamin Franklin. Okay, here we go. 1, temperance. Eat not to dullness, drink not to elevation. Of course, you know it's so poetic, okay? Silence. Speak not but what may benefit others or yourself. Avoid trifling conversation, you trife dog. He was already saying, stop having them trife conversations. Stop being trife. Number 3, order. Let all your things have their places. Let each part of your business have its time. Man. 4, resolution. Resolve to perform what you ought. Perform without fail what you resolve. 5, frugality. Make no expense, but to do good to others or yourself, i.e., waste nothing. Number 6, industry. Lose no time. Be always employed in something useful. Cut off all unnecessary actions. Damn, Benji. You out here in the streets, 1720 Philadelphia on Market, okay? Doing business on Water Street. You over there on Broad, okay? You got off the ship over there at Penn's Landing. And you talking about cut off all unnecessary actions. This is great information. Number 7, sincerity. Use no hurtful deceit. Think innocently and justly. And if you speak, speak accordingly. Number 8, justice. Wrong none by doing injuries or omitting the benefits that are your duty. Man. Number 9, moderation. Avoid extremes. Forbear resenting injuries so much as you think they deserve. Number 10, listen to this one, guys. Cleanliness. Tolerate no uncleanliness in body, clothes, or habitation. This is very important stuff. You see what I'm saying? You got no electricity. You walking around here in the dark, okay? I mean, this thing is old school. And you talking about pick up, be clean. You talking about the plumbing? You're not calling PGW, PICO, and all these new things that we have that our tax dollars are going to ensure that you have clean plumbing, right? But you're saying cleanliness is very important. This is 1720s, guys, okay? Number 11, tranquility. Be not disturbed at trifles or at accidents, common or unavoidable, okay? Number 12, chastity. Rarely use venery, but for health, which is sex. Rarely use sex, but for health or offspring. Never to dullness, weakness, or the injury of your own or another's peace or reputation. Number 13, humility. Imitate Jesus and Socrates. He's trying to create the best habits of pure happiness. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have for you today. As you know, it is a beautiful day, June 8th, 2018, Friday. Stacy A. Cross, the Stacy A. Cross Show. Thank you, Dave M Boddy, Dave Matthew Boddy, for coming through. All information inside the show notes. We're out of here. I love you so much. Be great. Remain uncomfortable. I am Stacy A. Cross, and there is no E in my name. Have a great day. You've just listened to a episode of the Stacy A. Cross Show. You can subscribe and get more episodes on my website, stacyacross.com, and my company's website, thecomfortkillers.com. As always, you can get me on all my social media at Stacy A. Cross. Go ahead and subscribe, and we will see you next week. I am